Okay, let's be honest. Thanksgiving. It's about family, food, and, well, maybe a few historical inaccuracies. We gather around tables filled with turkey, stuffing, and cranberry sauce, sharing laughter and stories. But how much do we really know about the origins of this beloved holiday? We've all heard the stories, seen the plays, and maybe even worn the construction paper hats. The narrative is familiar. Pilgrims and Native Americans coming together in harmony. You know, the Pilgrims sailing on the Mayflower, befriending Native Americans, sharing a lovely autumn feast. It's a story that has been passed down through generations, often simplified and romanticized. A heartwarming tale, right? But like most good stories, it's a bit more complicated than that. The reality involves a mix of cooperation and conflict, survival and struggle. Thanksgiving, as we know it, is a tapestry woven with threads of truth, myth, and a whole lot of cultural significance. It's a holiday that has evolved over centuries, influenced by various traditions and historical events. We're about to unravel those threads, to separate fact from fiction, and get to the heart of what really went down back in 1621. What were the true interactions between the Pilgrims and the Native Americans? Get ready for a wild ride through history, complete with religious refugees, cultural clashes, and yes, even some actual turkeys. We'll explore the motivations, the hardships, and the unexpected alliances that shaped the first Thanksgiving. Because the real story of Thanksgiving is way more interesting, and yes, a little messier, than the picture-perfect version we often see. It's a story of resilience, adaptation, and the blending of different cultures. Hold on to your hats and maybe grab a slice of pumpkin pie. This is going to be good. Let's dive into the true history of Thanksgiving and discover the rich, complex narrative that lies beneath the surface. Before we dive into the whole Thanksgiving feast thing, we need to understand why a group of English folks decided to hop on a boat and brave the stormy Atlantic in the first place. It wasn't just a casual decision or a spur-of-the-moment adventure. This was a calculated risk, a leap of faith driven by deep convictions and a desire for something more. Enter the Pilgrims, a group of religious dissenters seeking a new life free from the Church of England's control. They were part of a larger movement that believed the Church had strayed too far from its spiritual roots. See, back then, religion and politics were like two peas in a pod, inseparable and often causing quite a stir. The Church wasn't just a place of worship. It was a powerful institution intertwined with the state. These weren't your casual churchgoers either. They were deeply committed to their faith, willing to endure hardship and persecution for their beliefs. These were the hardcore devotees, the ones willing to risk it all for their beliefs. They packed their belongings, said their goodbyes, and prepared for a journey that would take them across the ocean to an unknown land. Imagine being so fed up with the religious climate that you pack up your whole life, say goodbye to everything you know, and set sail for a completely unknown land. It was a monumental decision filled with both hope and uncertainty. That's dedication. The journey was grueling, with rough seas and limited supplies, but their determination never wavered. But here's the kicker. They weren't just looking for a place to worship freely. They had a vision of creating a new society, one that aligned with their values and beliefs. They were also looking for a fresh start, a chance to build a society that aligned with their values. They wanted to create a community where they could live according to their principles, free from the constraints of the old world. Think of it as the ultimate startup. With high hopes, grand ambitions, and a whole lot of unknowns, they were pioneers in every sense of the word, venturing into uncharted territory with dreams of a better future. Little did they know, their journey would forever alter the course of history. Their story is a testament to the power of faith, determination, and the human spirit's quest for freedom and self-determination. After months at sea, cramped conditions, and questionable rations, the Pilgrims finally landed in what we now call Plymouth, Massachusetts. Spoiler alert, it wasn't exactly paradise. Imagine stepping off a ship after months at sea, only to be greeted by a harsh, unforgiving wilderness. No Instagram-worthy beaches, no five-star resorts, just dense forests, unfamiliar creatures, and the daunting task of starting from scratch. The first winter was brutal. Disease ripped through the colony, wiping out nearly half their population. Those who survived faced starvation, exposure, and the constant fear of the unknown. It was a crash course in survival, a harsh reality check after their transatlantic journey. But amidst the hardship, a glimmer of hope emerged. The Pilgrims found an ally in Squanto, a Native American from the Patuxet tribe. Squanto had a fascinating backstory. He'd been captured by English explorers years earlier, lived in England, and somehow made his way back to his homeland only to find his tribe decimated by disease. Now let's shift gears for a second and talk about the people who were already here, the Wampanoag. They were the original inhabitants of this land long before the arrival of the Europeans. They weren't just passive bystanders in this story. They played an active and crucial role in the history that unfolded. They were a vibrant, sophisticated people with their own rich culture, traditions, and complex relationships with the land and each other. Their society was well organized, with a deep understanding of their environment. For centuries, the Wampanoag had thrived in the region, mastering the art of agriculture, fishing and hunting. They cultivated crops like corn, beans and squash, and were skilled fishermen and hunters. Their lives were intricately woven with the rhythms of nature, their communities governed by their own laws and customs. They held seasonal festivals and ceremonies that honored their connection to the earth. The arrival of Europeans brought a wave of change, some of it welcome, much of it devastating. The Wampanoag initially engaged in trade and shared knowledge with the newcomers. European diseases like smallpox ripped through indigenous populations, decimating entire communities. These diseases spread rapidly and with deadly effect. The Wampanoag were no exception. They suffered tremendous losses, which weakened their communities and disrupted their way of life. By the time the Pilgrims arrived, the Wampanoag had already been hit hard by disease. Their population had been significantly reduced, making them more vulnerable. Their leader, Massasoit, saw an opportunity in the Pilgrims, a chance to forge an alliance that could help them navigate the growing threat posed by neighboring tribes who had not been as severely impacted by disease. This alliance was crucial for the survival and future of the Wampanoag people. Section 5, the first Thanksgiving, fact, fiction and feasting. Here's where the story gets a little hazy. We don't have detailed records of the first Thanksgiving, more like snippets and interpretations passed down through generations. What we do know is that in the fall of 1621, the Pilgrims, having survived their first harvest, participated in a 3-day feast with Massasoit and about 90 Wampanoag men. It wasn't a formal sit-down dinner with turkey and cranberry sauce. It was more of a harvest celebration, a blend of English and Wampanoag traditions with hunting, games and a whole lot of eating. Was it a kumbaya moment of perfect harmony? Probably not. More like a cautious alliance, a way for two very different cultures to coexist and perhaps even benefit from each other. Section 6, more than just turkey and football, the evolution of Thanksgiving. The first Thanksgiving wasn't an instant national holiday. It took centuries, a civil war, and a whole lot of cultural maneuvering for Thanksgiving to become the iconic American tradition it is today. Over time, the story of the first Thanksgiving became romanticized, often glossing over the more complicated aspects of Pilgrim Native American relations. It became a symbol of unity, gratitude, and national identity. In 1863, amidst the turmoil of the Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln declared Thanksgiving a national holiday, hoping to foster a sense of unity and gratitude in a deeply divided nation. Section 7. Thanksgiving today, a time for reflection and gratitude, and maybe some pie. Fast forward to today, and Thanksgiving is a beloved holiday, a time for family gatherings, epic football games, and, of course, food. Lots and lots of food. But beyond the turkey and stuffing, Thanksgiving offers a chance to reflect on the past, acknowledge the present, and appreciate the good things in our lives. It's a time to gather with loved ones, share stories, and maybe even engage in some awkward family photos. Of course, Thanksgiving means different things to different people. For some, it's a time to reconnect with family traditions. For others, it's an opportunity to give back to their communities. And for some, it's a chance to indulge in a food coma of epic proportions. Section 8, the true spirit of Thanksgiving, gratitude, generosity, and moving forward. As we've seen, the history of Thanksgiving is far from simple. It's a story of survival, resilience, cultural exchange, and the complexities of human interaction. But amidst the historical nuances, there's a powerful message at the heart of Thanksgiving, a message of gratitude, generosity, and the importance of moving forward together. Gratitude for the blessings in our lives, big and small, generosity in our interactions with others, especially those in need, and the courage to move forward even when faced with challenges, just like the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag did centuries ago. Section 9, what we can learn from a shared history. It's more than just turkey and football. So, as you gather with loved ones this Thanksgiving, take a moment to reflect on the real story behind the holiday. It's a story that's both inspiring and sobering, reminding us of the importance of understanding our past, embracing our present, and working towards a more just and equitable future. Let's honor the legacy of Thanksgiving by embracing its true spirit, a spirit of gratitude, generosity, and understanding. And hey, maybe we can even learn a thing or two from history while we're at it. Now, who's ready for some pie?